just to be a bitter pill to swallow.
Very bitter. Anytime you don't have success, it's bitter. When you invest all the time that you invest. So obviously winning is a lot more fun. But it's another Monday and you go back to work.
Jon, are you confident these guys will bounce back?
Sure. Absolutely. You know, I think we've got a great group of leadership, said it all along. And, I told them last night, it just gets, in leadership, things get a little bit tough. That's when you really have to lead. I would not expect them not to. I think they've done whatever we've asked to this point.
Coach, is it possible you learn more about this group when they're experiencing this adversity like this than maybe you did when you're winning 3 straight?
Oh, I like learning more about us when we win. But you're going to find out what we're made of. I think that's a truism. But I'd rather win and learn. I think you need to learn no matter what you do. I think our guys are trying to do that. From this point.
Coach Aaron mentioned coming out flat. I'll ask you what I asked him. How do you come out flat at home in a conference game when they've been preached to and preached themselves how important every conference game is?
I don't know. I think again, you look at preparation. I really thought we had a solid week of preparation. We do the same things. That's why you have to sit and as you sit as a staff, and what do you expect your guys to do? We did what we've been doing, what we thought. You expect to win every week. So, the preparation that you use is the same. I think, again, if something different happens maybe early in that game, and that's why sometimes you get the question of, you started out slow or you're flat. Well, sometimes the circumstances create that. I'll block a punt a few weeks ago, then all of a sudden you look flat because all the air went out of your balloons. You are so juiced up and you are so ready, and all of a sudden something, a 40, 52-yard touchdown pass goes on 3rd down, and so all of a sudden you take a deep breath, and all of a sudden it feels like you're flat. And I'm not sure that. I just watch us play on film, and I'm not convinced we were flat. I don't. I have the advantage of watching the tape, and so I watch us play, and I see some series, and I think if you're flat against that team, it gets real ugly. We had some bad plays on both sides of the ball, but again, it's that's where I would kind of that. Again, that same old question of why the slow start, why are we flat? When something bad happens like that early, you take a deep breath, and geez, the guy caught a touchdown pass for 52 yards, and you take a shot. And so, it looks like you're flat. If we don't have we make a mental mistake there in the coverage, and all of a sudden it looks like you weren't ready. And I don't know that that's the case, because I don't think that game is. Exception of a handful of plays on both sides, we played pretty decent at times. There's goal line stands outstanding. There's some plays in there that are pretty doggone good. So I'm not sure that the flat thing I think happens sometimes when again something bad happens to you. Then you look at what's created it. Again, there was just we made an MA.
When you go back and review the film of that game, you realize that there's such a fine line between a 10-point victory and a 10-point loss.
That game, but that's what I think makes you a little bit, just drives you crazy because, a handful of plays on defense, and again, shoot, it's a whole other deal. And played pretty good played pretty good. We drive at 17, 16 plays on a drive, and it ends in a turnover. For 16 plays, we're grinding, we're playing ball. It's good. It's real good. And then it's a turnover. So just again, you have the advantage of looking at the film and you're watching what you're watching. And I think that's a little bit, which the advantage that I have as the coach and the guys that are as players, you get to see what really went on in the game versus what everybody thought should have went on and what they think went on. That's where obviously viewing the film is very beneficial.
Coach, looking at the film, did you see anything on the interceptions?
Well, the one, I think when it got a little bit to the stretch, I think we were trying to make things happen. But it's like trying to coach running backs, What hole do you hit? Well, you hit the one you think's open. you know, and I'm not being, I mean, it's hard to coach running backs. You know, didn't you see that? Well, every running back sees something different. And, you know, when you're coaching a quarterback, you have to be careful saying, throw that ball, you know, to David. Because if he's not, you know, maybe he saw, you know, Chad open. So you just have to be very careful. You know, and again, I think there was probably a little of that of wanting to do good. And that's a fine line too. So, you know, that's what you see. But again, we went into that game as, you know, we were leading the conference in turnover margin, and all of a sudden we have a fumble that we haven't had, and, you know, picks, and we got one. So, you know, we went into that game leading the conference in turnover margin. I think now we're probably third or fourth or maybe even fifth. I don't know. I haven't looked at them today, but I'm sure we dropped to there. But again, a week ago, sitting here, we were leading the conference in turnover margin. So,
Kind of breakdown on special teams again on the field goal. It seems like the first couple of games on the punts. I mean, just what's happening on that.
Oh, it was a bad snap. It was a high snap, and then we got some pressure. You know, the kickoff return was much improved. You know, we jumped up there a little bit. Kickoff coverage was much improved. Punting game was much improved. You know, we had a bad snap, and really it was a high snap, which caused the timing to be down a little bit. It was a little slow, and then we got pushed, and really that was as much as anything. I thought Mark did a good job of getting the ball down, and, but it being a little late, Steve was a little ahead of the ball, so it didn't get it up as much. So combination of all those things there. But frustrating, absolutely. I mean, you know, spend all that time.
Coach, it is just one loss, obviously, but is there an increased sense of urgency with the guys to know that, hey, there's not much margin for error?
Well, I think that's true, but it's the same thing. If you're preparing to win all the time, you know, that's the same thing. What else do you do? Wake up at 3 in the morning instead of, I mean, there's only so many things you can do. And I think we have to, you know, we prepared last week to win, and the week before, and the week before, and the week before. So, you know, I think you have to watch, is there a sense of, yeah, because you're only allowed so many losses, but how do you change and do a whole bunch more? I just think you have to do it a little bit better. You know, you have to evaluate, as I told our team, our staff, you just have to have a self-evaluation. Is, you know, is there maybe a little bit more time or something else you can do? But if you're prepared to win the game, you're prepared to win every game. So, you know, you get into that mode where you start thinking that, you know, hey, we're going to go out this week and work harder. Well, we worked hard last week. We worked to win. And that's what you do every week. So, you know, you just have to just self-evaluate and see if there's something you missed, or, you know, again, you prepared last week going into that game, shoot, we all felt like we were going to win because we prepared to win. And so I think that's where it's tough, Chad. I mean, it's a good question. Obviously, you can't have a bunch of losses, but, you know, you still got a lot of football to play. All the things that we want to do are still there. You don't know what's going to happen down the road. I mean, an injury here to a player, to a team, anything could go on. And so you're foolish to ever quit playing. You know, just, again, your sense of, I guess, awareness goes up. You know, obviously, you had a loss in the conference, but if you had a win in the conference, you better win this week, or you're going to have a loss. So I think some of that is just, you just keep grinding away.